Hello and welcome to Creatives on Speed, where we talk to creative thinkers, doers and makers from all walks of life about their work and their inspirations. And today I am very delighted to be joined by Phil Lawrence, TV writer. Hi Phil.
Hello. Hi, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Phil, tell us a bit more about what you do.
Well, like you say, I am a TV writer now. I used to be an actor, but I started to write plays that I could be in and realised that actually I was probably better at writing than I was at acting. And so writing took over, and telly was what I grew up with. It was my first love. That's where I wanted to work. So I put my focus head on, wrote loads of spec scripts, wrote loads to loads of people, and got a job writing for EastEnders. And so for the last couple of years, it's been my passion and my day job as well. Fantastic to write for EastEnders and Casualty, and obviously have my own original stuff on the go at the same time.
That's amazing. So like you mentioned about, like being passionate about TV when you were growing up. Let's talk a bit more about that. So sort of in terms of creative pursuits or creative activities, what did you do when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I didn't really have a happy school life. I was bullied as a kid, obviously not the only one. So kind of being creative was obviously an outlet and an escape. TV, it was there in the home, it was an escape right there. But aside from that, I would draw, I would write. I was writing even back then. My third year at secondary school, we didn't have an English teacher for, in my memory, it was the entire year. So while everyone else was mucking about, I just grabbed a stack of exercise books and sat at the back and wrote this epic space story. So that playing with my toys as well, which is something I did as a kid and I still do. So when I'm switching off, because obviously my passion, my hobby of writing is now my job. So to switch off, I play with my toys. I still play with my action figures and make up little dioramas and stuff. Um, so that hasn't stopped. So I still write and I draw and I obviously watch lots of telly.
Yeah. So that's interesting because I know that I've seen some of the little sort of animations and things you've done over the years with the toys. Which sort of genre are we talking about, sci-fi, that you're particularly keen on?
Big on Doctor Who, massive Doctor Who fan, always since, the first thing I can remember writing was a little Doctor Who story, which was absolutely awful, but never mind, you have to start somewhere. And then Star Wars, obviously, because the Star Wars figures came out and I was big into those. And then one of the things that you saw actually was I made short Star Wars movies using my toys. And it was a real learning curve, actually. I learned a lot about how to make a film just by doing with my little toys and doing the voices myself.
Yeah, you learn so much, don't you, by playing and doing. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just an
absolutely. Just by
amazing
doing it
part.
and yeah, and working it out for yourself and realizing how much you know as well, actually. Because I had no kind of formal training, but these Star Wars films were perfectly structured Star Wars films because I watched them and devoured them, and you kind of instinctively know how to reconstruct it.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. So do you think that's you moved towards more towards writing when you were starting to write? Um, you just obviously you've got this sort of background in making things and being a playwright and being an actor as well. What sort of things did you draw on in terms of sort of starting to write? Were there any things you thought, oh yeah, I know about structure, I know about how to do dialogue because I've been an actor and I know what that's not what that's like. What are the key things?
It was nothing that I felt going in that I thought, I know how to do this. There was lots of instinctive stuff, like I said, that you just kind of know innately from hearing stories. Like fairy tales have the same structure, kind of thing, and you
Yeah.
just build this stuff. But as I was writing scripts and sending them to people and getting feedback and stuff, I kind of realized that, actually, I'm quite good at dialogue because being an actor and being able to put my head into different characters. So I'm quite good at writing different characters' voices. So I used to have a Doctor Who website, going back to Doctor Who and the toys. I used to have a website where I'd do a monthly comic strip using the toys. And one of the things that everyone said to me was, oh my God, you can really write for each Doctor, because obviously each character is distinct. So yeah, definitely that came from acting and being able to put yourself into different characters' heads.
Mm. Yeah. So you talked about sort of writing for TV. Was there a kind of pivotal moment where you sort of have there's a light bulb when you went, yeah, this is what I'm going to do now? Because you've been you're one of the people I really admire, because you've been really sort of focused on your journey, particularly in sort of recent years. So sort of talk to us a bit about that moment.
I think sometimes you have to have that kind of focus, and I think we do have those kind of light bulb, like you say, light bulb moments in your life. Um, and I think I just kind of had a perfect storm, if you like, in my life. It was about no, it was 6 years ago. Blimey, time's flown. And we had a bit of a family crisis. We nearly lost my dad. He's still going, by the way, spoiler alert. So we had this big grief crisis. I started to lose my day job because the financial crash and everything. So this day job that I'd been relying on and been sort of paying the bills while I was doing low paid acting work and stuff, was sort of collapsing under my feet. And my partner was in a really, really stressful job. So it kind of became, I felt it was like my responsibility to step up and sort of be the breadwinner, if you like. And I don't have any qualifications. The only thing I could do is act or write. And I didn't think I was that successful an actor. So I thought, well, writing is probably something I can do. And I'd been going to the London Screenwriters Festival for a couple of years and kind of got a sense that that was where I really wanted to go. TV was what I really wanted to do. And kind of always felt it's where I'd end up. But you can't go into these sort of careers thinking, oh, I'll just end up there. No, you have to be driven and focused. And so I did have that light bulb moment of going, yeah, I need to step up now. I need to get on and do it. And I just had this real epiphany of that's where I want to go to. And at the time it was continuing drama. I wanted to write for EastEnders and Casualty and those kind of shows because I felt that was a good entry. They take new writers. It's a way in. And so I thought, well, that's where I want to go. And just had it in my head, right, to get there, I need to do this. To get that, I need to do this. And I just saw this path. And I thought, that's it. That's what I'm going to go for. And if you want to know what that path was, I can quickly tell you. There was a kind of 3-year plan. First year, it didn't work out this way, but the first year was research all the soaps. So I watched every soap. So I knew what was going on in all of them, became an expert. I mean, I had been watching most of them, but just really studied them and became an expert. Wrote lots of scripts. So I had a real kind of body of work because inevitably you write your magnus opus, show that to people and they go, oh, we love it. We can't produce it. So what else have we got?
Yeah.
You do something else in your back pocket.
Yeah.
And so year 2 was then get an agent. So I approached some agents, got loads of knockbacks, but eventually did get an agent. And then year 3 would have been get a commission. Got close. I did get a trial on Doctors, but yeah, it was the 4th year when I got my actual commission. So yeah, 3-year plan turning into a 4-year plan. That's not so bad.
That's amazing. And you know, what's really interesting about that, I think, is the amount of, well, one, dedication that you have to put in to achieve some of these things. It's not like you can just wake up one day and go, I'm going to write for TV. You know, but you had obviously all the experience of writing other stuff before you got there. What would you say were the biggest things in terms of obstacles, either personally, sort of, you know, and or just kind of getting up every day and sort of applying yourself on this journey?
Yeah, focus was the massive thing, and just getting rid of stuff that wasn't aimed at my career. It sounds really mercenary, but I just had to just be that blinkered. So certain friends I had to kind of stop seeing. The Doctor Who website, that had to go. Couldn't do that anymore. So anything that wasn't geared to writing scripts and you know getting that work had to be. So yeah, lots of sacrifices.
Yeah.
Worth it ultimately. Except when you get to lockdown, you realise, oh, I haven't got any hobbies. What am I going to do? I'm bored.
What sort of tricks and habits did you have to instill in yourself, or sort of maybe on a daily, weekly basis, to kind of forge your path forward, if you like?
Yeah, well, everyone says if you're going to be a writer, you have to write every day. So that was a big thing. So yeah, some carving time out because I had a day job as well. So I'd get up at 6 and plan the day before what I was going to do. So I'd get up at 6, know exactly what I'm going to do on a particular project. Always have several projects on the go at the same time. So when you've written something, you sort of put that to bed, then you're not sort of waiting. You're working on the next thing. So always have several things on the go at the same time. I would get up at 6, work until going to work, come home, and then write again. And writing every day doesn't necessarily mean putting pen to paper or writing script. It's just thinking about the project and working on the project and just keeping it here all the time. So just to keep that focus and that energy, so that your mind is, and you become really boring. Your mind is constantly on your career and everything you do. That was the other thing I was going to say, that it's not about writing all the time. So going out, I said I'd cut out certain friends. So yeah, I cut out the Doctor Who fan friends. So instead of going to a pub and talking about Doctor Who, I do talk about other things. I'm not that fun-minded. So I'd go to a writer's networking drinks, and go and meet people that would help my career, because it's a people career, and it's all about who you know at the end of the day as well.
But also those conversations, it's not necessarily the case that as a writer you have to become kind of a recluse. I think when you're writing dialogue, it's so important to go and listen to people's conversations, even if you're just earwigging in a coffee shop. Would you say that's the case for you?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, one of your questions is, where do you get your creativity from?
Yeah.
And one of my answers is, or pre-lockdown certainly, was public transport and coffee shops. Just going on buses and getting snapshots of people's lives. So inspiring. And as you say, picking up other ways of talking, people's dialects, and yeah, and you just sort of steal that and squirrel it away and think, oh yeah, that suits that character.
Yeah, and I also think it's fascinating that there are whole stories behind those lines of dialogue that people say. So, oh, why did you say it like that? What's going on there? Who is Marjorie? And that kind of thing. I think that's fascinating. Are there any other sort of tricks and tips as sort of a script writer that you would say have really helped you?
Yes, there's a few things that I've picked up actually. One, talking about character voices, a couple of things for character voices. If one of the criticisms that was leveled at my writing quite early on was that all the characters sounded the same, which is a really easy trick to fall into, because obviously it's all coming from you, it's all coming from one person. So one trick that I started to use was to kind of cast people in my head as so people that I knew would be the characters, because they've got really distinctive ways of talking, and so then everyone starts to be different. So like, steal someone that you know in real life, steal someone from telly. Also talking about character voices, when I was doing my trial for EastEnders and sort of testing myself whether I knew how to write for each character, what I did was kind of wrote out little scenes for them, for each of them, where the postman comes to the door with a parcel, an unexpected parcel, and just writing how each character reacts to it, because they're all going to do it really differently.
Yeah, that's
That was
fascinating.
really interesting, just way of sort of testing that you know how each character speaks, and obviously you can do that for your own spec scripts as well.
And also I think that's could apply to a lot of things, really, is that testing of things, testing of an idea could, it's important to do that, to sort of stretch it and see where it goes before you potentially apply it to the final product. I think that's
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
key
Before
thing.
you spend loads of time on something that isn't going to work, test it out first. Yeah, definitely.
Obviously working on EastEnders, it must be fascinating. I mean, is there anything what's the biggest thing that you've learned in terms of working on a show like that has surprised you?
That's a really good question. I don't think I've got an answer to that.
Maybe you
But I
were
tell you
just
one
so
thing,
well informed before you went in that you did all that
maybe,
research.
I mean, yeah, you
Yeah.
do have to, you go into these things with a lot of research and be well informed. I'll tell you one of the things that was really fascinating. On my first episode, I went in for a day to see how they film it. I did this on Casualty as well, and they're both completely different, so very different. With EastEnders, it's like an old style sitcom. They've got 3 cameras on it at once, and they bang out a scene. Actually, I tell you, this was a real revelation. Having been an actor and then watching proper pros do it. I mean, lots of people are really sort of hard on soap actors, which I think is really unfair, because the stuff they have to learn, and it's all out of sync as well. So they're doing a scene from 1 week, and then straight after they're doing a scene from the week before. And I was watching, the first scene I saw was Kush doing a scene in the calf, and they do a rehearsal take, so everyone's sort of not quite into it, mucking about maybe. Then they'll do another one, and it's okay, but someone's quite a little bit off their game. And then they'll do another one, and suddenly it's perfect and it's magic. And just watching it is just blows you away. Everyone just suddenly brings their A game, and the director goes, right, yeah, okay, that's done. Next, so
Yeah.
quick, but
Yeah.
absolutely magical to watch. It was like alchemy, the director said at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's
fascinating, really
so
fascinating.
cool. So, just in terms of your sort of creative journey now, where are you planning to take your writing going forward? I mean, obviously
Um,
more EastEnders and Casualty, but what else?
I would, yeah, I'd love to do some more. I've just done a Casualty, which um, is probably going to be on right about the time this is going out, maybe. But beyond that, I want to do my own stuff. So I've just written a few scripts during lockdown. One is a cozy crime drama. Another one is a 4-part thriller, which would be perfect for ITV or Channel 5, just saying.
Just if they're
Um,
listening,
just if
obviously
they're
they're
listening, you know.
watching. Yes.
But the one I'm doing at the moment is kind of a life on Mars in reverse, with a female lead. So it's kind of like a rom-com crime drama series with a bit of a sci-fi element to it.
Yeah, sounds
So
cool.
yeah.
Love
So
it.
that's where I want to go, just get my own original stuff out there.
And when you're sort of thinking about ideas outside of the soaps, where do your stories mainly come from?
Really interesting question. Like I said, I go out pre-lockdown. I'd go to cafes and just get little snapshots of life on buses and trains and stuff. And then that will spark something, and then it will collide with another idea that I had a few months ago. But it tends to be, I mean, I've been writing for good old 10, 11 years. So I kind of know what my writer's voice is, if you like, and so the kind of themes that I want to explore. So when I get an idea, I think, yeah, where am I in this idea? Where's my USP, if you like? What's my take on this idea? So that's when the idea starts to ferment, and you think, yeah, what kind of character is going to embody this question for me? And it just kind of builds from there.
Yeah, and what sort of process do you go through to sort of build on that character?
Um, I tell you, this is going to sound really bad. I use John Yorke's book.
It's a classic. What can you
It is a classic,
say?
and it's so good. Into the Woods.
Yeah.
So yeah, is 10 questions, although I've added another one, so it's 11 questions. Um, and the 5-act structure, I use 5-act structure all the time, even for a whole thing, and for scenes when I'm just trying to work out what's this scene about. I use a 5-act structure on that. Brilliant.
Yeah, for anyone who's interested in those, I'll be putting some links to those below video in the show notes, because they are go-to writer, screenwriter books, and they apply, I think, in any sort of storytelling context, not just scripts. Actually, they're just such. I mean, I write scripts as well, and I still go back to those books. You're constantly learning, aren't you, as a
Yeah,
writer? You
absolutely.
don't become like this sort of, I've done it all, I've written it all. I think that's what's really interesting about it.
I was having this conversation with a friend of mine earlier today, and we were both agreeing that when you start a new script, it's like you go, how do I do this again? You need you keep having to go back to those basics of, yeah, how do I do this? And those kind of books, it's good to read screenwriter books, not get too hung up on them, or to like stick to the dogma too rigidly. You have to read them and find what works for you, because then when you do get stuck in a project and it happens all the time. And I guess that's what's called writer's block. If you you get stuck and you don't know where to go, then you can go back to those processes that you come to learn in those books, and it just helps you surge forward again.
So
Do it all the time.
you said it there, and it's going to be my final question. But when you do get stuck, when you're at the computer and you're just like, I haven't got anything, I can't, there's nothing. What do you do in the moment?
I don't really have those kinds of blank page moments, because I don't sit at the computer unless I've got an idea.
Yeah.
And that comes in the notebook, out on the bus, out on the train, or sitting on the loo. Just gonna put that out there. That's where we have our best ideas.
Of course.
So I don't have that kind of writer's block moment. But what I do get is this scene isn't working. I don't know, and it tends to be I haven't done the work. I haven't done the background work, which always normally comes back to what does this character want in this moment, and do they get it? What's in their way? And these are basic screenwriter questions. It's about beyond screenwriting, it's storytelling, it's drama, it's someone wants something, someone doesn't want them to have it, something's in their way. So it's different sides of the brain. We were saying just before this, weren't we, that we have the creative side and the analytical side. So when I get stuck, it tends to be I need to go back to the analytical side, and that's when I open up a Word document and do a table, and do that kind of stuff, because that really helps me. That kind of visualizing the 5-act thing. So right, okay, what are the 5 stages this person has to go through in this scene? So that's when I get stuck. But that's what I do. I go back to analytical head.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think that just shows that, it's open to anyone. It's not this sort of divine inspiration. There's these parts of it that are really, as you say, analytical, and you can break it down and you can do it incrementally. And even if you want to achieve something and you have a big dream and a big goal, you can actually achieve it by incremental steps and going on that
Absolutely.
path.
That's exactly what it is. And I am a big believer in, if you want to do it, then do it. And if you've come into, if you want to be a screenwriter and you haven't done anything creative, so you think, in your life, or you haven't worked in a creative industry, it doesn't matter, because you're going to bring in your experience from whatever life you've lived into this, and you're probably going to be the better for it.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic place to end. Phil, it's been really, really exciting talking to you. You're a huge inspiration to me and a lot of writers that we both know, I know. So I just want to say thanks for your time, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks for having me. It's been great to see you.
Take care. All the best.
Cheers, Joe. Bye.
Bye.